Welcome back to Doing Bart Things, and on this little mini episode is a bonus video. That's right, a bonus video on Christmas Eve. So these are the goodies. Honestly, I probably should have done this video weeks ago. I've been really busy because it would have been good for people to have things to buy for Christmas, right? But I just want to take a look back and kind of give people perspective on things that I thought were really good. Um, in kind of where I fall on certain products. So maybe nobody cares, maybe somebody does. We'll see. Um, so starting off, we're going to hop right in. The RX, or sorry, not the RX, but the Ryzen 7 7800 X3Ds. Man, product naming is a whole RX, R9, R7, like it's a mess. But anyway, the 7800 X3D AM5 chip. So I have one now. I really like it. What I like about it is the fact that it is so low power. It would be like probably the best chip you could get for a a high-end gaming rig in a really small PC. So if you were doing a mini ITX build and um, you want a CPU that wouldn't be a problem for your you wouldn't get bottlenecked, right? I guess maybe is another term. Like you wanted to really have a good gaming chip. This would be one you'd consider. I still need to do some more testing. I haven't gotten a chance to test the quote unquote AM dip. There's a channel called Frame Chasers. He's really down on the AMD stuff. And I like to hear criticisms and things from the other side. So it's something that maybe like I will test out. I should probably get my hands on some games that he messes with and benchmarks to see if I can reproduce some of the things that he's talking about and see if maybe I can kind of tweak away at it. It's just interesting, and I like to look at it. But I will say this CPU allows for very high frame rates. Um, it is competitive with the upper end Intel chips, and I think it's just a good chip so far. We're talking very low wattage, 30, 40 watts sometimes, just sitting there in games. It just it doesn't output, it doesn't get very hot. 60, 70 degrees. Um, yeah, and I'm going to talk about some Intel chips here in a second, and it echoes for this. Like, I think maybe contact frames the way of the future. I got a contact frame for this chip, and I really like not because I'm worried about it not being seated from the AMD mechanism of seating the chip onto the socket. So basically, it's an LGA socket, so it's a land grid array. That means that the pins are actually on the motherboard, not on the CPU. And maybe someday I'll make a video about that. Maybe, but anyway, so the pins kind of come up, and you want a good amount of pressure, but not overpressure on the CPU, pushing it into the socket. Because what that does is that makes all the contacts good, and so you make sure to have the decent connection to between it and memory and all the componentry on the motherboard, and things are connected to it. Um, and that contact frame has been something about that just tells me that that's like the way because it actually it sort of like it sort of grabs all the sides of the CPU and pushes it in, so it's like even pressure all the way around. It's really good. The other part that's really good is it keeps the paste. So when you put thermal paste on it, it keeps the paste from seeping down into the kind of ridges and valleys on the side of the heat spreader, which is also good. I should probably do a video about that. I think I had a video. I wanted to post it, but it just wasn't. Uh, it wasn't really good. It like cut off at a weird spot. I don't really have a video editor that much right now, so I'm kind of just doing these one take. That's why I'm the most just high production quality video maker you could possibly imagine. Um, Apologize in advance. I just want you guys to know that this is real and I'm coming to you the way that it is, and um, giving you the best 2 cents I got for now, and I'll keep doing that. I uh, I never I'm not saying I'm never gonna do an advertisement or have a sponsored video or something like that, but I will never do a sponsored video for something that I don't believe in or that I don't like. End of story. If that were to ever even happen, I doubt it. Just trust me. That's probably not going to happen. Anyway, the the 7800 X3D seems like it's a really good chip. It avoids the pitfalls of the 7800 X3D and the 7950 X3D simply because it doesn't have two CCDs and then basically, or CCXs, I forget now what they're calling them these days. But anyway, it doesn't have the two chips where one has Vcache and one doesn't. All of the CPU, all of the cores on this chip have Vcache attached to it. It's only one of them because it's only 8 cores, 16 threads. Only 8 cores and 16 threads. Um, so I think it's a good chip, and I would say I have no problem recommending it, as it sits today for people. The other thing about it is it requires the AM5 platform, which may not be a bad idea. There's new chips coming to the AM5 platform. We're getting the Zen 5 chip this next year, and we may get Zen 6 on AM5. So it'll be interesting. I think it all boils down to DDR6. So we're using DDR5 now. DDR6 is in the works, I think, kind of in the background. It's going to be a few years out, I suspect, but that could happen because these chips are going to get very bandwidth starved here very shortly. And um, so it will require, when they go to DDR6, everyone should not get upset. Like when they go to DDR6, it's going to require a new socket because there's going to need to be more connections. Um, Intel, it'll be the same thing. Intel's going to release a new chipset when they go to Arrow Lake, I'm assuming. That'll be later this year, this next year, probably towards the very end of the year. Arrow Lake is going to be a different uh, deal. I'm still hearing, at least Moore's Law is dead, and some of the more popular channels that are lead channels, they have all the connections that I will never have. They're talking like that chip is going to bring some decent performance gains. Unlike 14th gen, unlike Ultra, Core Ultra, whatever, they'll probably use that naming convention still, which is, I think they should go back to they should call it 15th gen or something. That Core Ultra, that Meteor Lake is not great. Anyway, Arrow Lake, the rumor mill is it's going to be really good. So it's going to compete with Zen 5. Zen 5, depending on when AMD releases it, may be the outright winner. I mean, Intel has already released everything they got. They chose not to release Core Ultra on desktop because 14th gen actually beats it on desktop. Once you get more wattage into that chip, it does not outperform the Raptor Lake. Raptor Lake, which is your 14900K, even the 13900K and stuff, it doesn't match up. So those chips are really good. Anyway, I'll get to those in a second. 7800X 3D, like I said, good chip for the power, good chip for single player games for sure, multiplayer games of course, but um, there's that AM dip thing that if you go watch Frame Chasers and the COD Bros, I'm not a COD bro, I'm just an average dude. So maybe it doesn't matter to me as much. So if that does, maybe go check out his channel. I'm just saying it's a good chip. It really is, and I think probably your best scenario is to match this chip with probably an AMD GPU, so like a 7800 XT or 7900 XTX. Um, that way it uses the smart access memory. I suspect your dips will be less by doing that. Um, and it's a good chip. And it puts you on a platform that's future proof, or at least uh, maybe not proof, but there are some upgrades coming to your future, whereas the Intel socket is pretty much done. LGA 1700, I think, is what it's called, the socket that the 12th, 13th, and 14th gens are, which that's really impressive, by the way, that Intel went that many generations on a socket. They usually don't do that. So I want to give them some kudos for doing that. They typically do not. I just want to make that very clear. They typically do not do that. It's a new gen CPU, a new socket, almost all the time with them. So them doing that was pretty awesome. Um, let's not let's try not to throw shade at the things we like. I think is really important, um, and I like that. I like it when somebody supports a socket for a while. So sorry to like harp on that, but again, it's really good. Like I think this is a really good chip. Um, I'm gonna tweak around and see if I can find out, what the AM dip thing is about with the games that particularly Frame Chasers has tested. I'm gonna get MSI Afterburner. We'll have a look at it. Maybe I'll make a video about it. Could be good. Okay, moving on. But this is something I was definitely. This is a goodie. This is a really goodie. Okay, speaking of Raptor Lake, Intel i7-14700K. I think this is probably the best CPU that Intel makes right now. Why? Okay, follow me. I think efficiency cores are crap. I'm just going to say it. Efficiency cores, they are. Windows doesn't know what to do with them. Windows really doesn't know what to do with them. I don't think. The performance cores are faster. They have hyper-threading. You have the efficiency cores. Man, like, I honestly wish, I almost wish they just would have come out with 16 performance cores for the top end, 12 performance cores for the, like AMD's doing. Just match AMD's core count. And hyper-threading. Like, I think would have been better for your average user because we game. Like, that's your big market is gamers, right? So why not just, can you guys not see hold on, move this down here. There we go. Okay. 14700K. Okay. I suspect for the average everyday person, this is a better CPU. I would love to see, and maybe we'll try to go dig up, but I think overclocked, this CPU is so close to a 14900K as to make it irrelevant. Like, it's 379. I mean, it's not even, what are we talking, 30 bucks? It's 30 bucks more than a 7800 X3D. I think if you're looking for a chip, that is like, I want more cores maybe. I kind of want to do all the things, but I don't want it to be too bad. Honestly, I think this might be a better choice than the 14900K for sure, because you have a better shot at actually cooling this with the AIO. I suspect you're going to get in the 260 watt dissipation range, which, I mean, some really high end air coolers can get close to that, right? And then your top tier 360 millimeter AIOs ought to do a really good job, maybe even give you some headroom, maybe. And I just think it's a better buy. I really do. I really don't think the 14900K. Yes. Will it let you go to 6 gigahertz? Yes. Will you get to use that 6 gigahertz? I don't think so. It just, the one that I tried to buy, it was a lot of fun, okay? Like, it was a cool CPU. Maybe I'm too old now. Maybe that's my problem. I'm just too old and I don't have um, the will to build a custom AIO loop out of parts that I can afford because I can't afford much. I bought that 14900K on a combo. Like, it was the Micro Center deal. I don't know if anybody knows the deals. Microsoft offers these bundles, right? So I was trying to like keep my prices in check, but get a high end system, and it was everything could do to get it. And by the time I got it, and I was trying to afford other parts, and then it was like I don't have the ability to now spend a whole bunch more money to get a custom loop to really extract everything this CPU could give. And I can't afford to buy the super duper expensive memory to also extract that extra that it will give. So there's just a lot of things there that were like, I can't. Whereas I think this chip, Still gives you 8 performance cores, which I think is important. And then you get 12 efficiency cores. You get 4 less efficiency cores, but that 4 less efficiency cores, I think at full tilt will really help with the power usage, and it should help with the temperatures in that case. And I think you stand a chance at least with this CPU to cool it enough to open it up and try to get everything out of it. Maybe that's just me, but I think that you might have the ability. I would, if you get one of these chips, okay, get a contact frame, okay. Do not rely on the bracketry on the motherboard to hold that into its socket. Um, there are videos out there. Thermal Right, I believe, makes one that is very affordable, and that's what I'm using on my 1700 X3D. They make them for the Intel sockets. I would even recommend it more for the Intel sockets than I would the AMD sockets. I think it's super duper important that you get a good pressure and a good contact into the socket for memory, especially if you get a really good board and you run really high frequency memory. I think this is an important step. I think you'll have more success. Um, get the best paste. Make sure that I you get a 360 mil AIO. End of discussion. Like I don't think you get a 240. I don't think you get a. Maybe you could do a 240 or high end air cooler if you tempered your expectations. But I think you get a 360 mil, and I think that would probably make most people the happiest. I don't think they're that expensive these days. So obviously you got to get bigger case. Like make sure your case is compatible. Um, Lian 216. I'm just saying. And then I think you can roll with this, and I think you'll have a good experience. Um, just because I chose not to do that does not make this bad. Straight up. But that's how I think you go with it, and I think you'll enjoy your experience with this CPU if you approach it correctly. But the 14900K just is too much. Like it you're not going to keep that from whittling up to 100 degrees C and throttling. Okay, next up, Arc. This is a surprise. This is a shocker. Arc A770, 16 gig, GPU, 319 bucks. So it went from my disappointed list to my goodies list. It probably earns the award for most improved throughout the year. The release drivers were not great, and now we've gotten more and more drivers that have just improved performance, helped compatibility. Intel's been really on a roll with their drivers. I'm very excited to see what Intel does with Battlemage next year. I was not at the beginning of the year. I was like, this is not going to be great, but now, man, I think they could be good. I think AMD and Nvidia have left the window open for them. I think they could crawl in there and really do something. So I'm really excited and curious to see what they do. This is the Sparkle A770. Um, Again, just over 300 bucks. It's a 16 gig card, which is VRAM is going to end up being a premium. Um, I think that's one way that these manufacturers are seeing that cards are going to get outdated. As new games come out and require more VRAM, 16 gigs is really strong. So this card could have some legs potentially later down the line. It could last a little bit, as a budget card. It's really surprising. I bought my daughter for her machine an 8 gig card, and it was about 220. Um, if ever she needed an upgrade, I would look at something probably in this price range, and this would be the kind of thing that maybe I'd find, be like, I don't know, does it play her games pretty well? Maybe I grab this. Um, Intel's drivers should continue to get better. They've got a new video card range to release this next year, which means further driver development, and I think it'll be good. So let me move my, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's move this out of the way so you guys can kind of see the card a little bit. That's what it looks like. Nothing flashy, but for the money, again, kind of a surprise. I didn't expect that I'd be this up on it, but it's almost to the point where I think somebody could try it. Somebody could buy the Intel card and try it, and I think the drivers might support them and be pretty good. So, again, as always, go and look at benchmarks, go and look at reviews. Don't just trust my word. That's the most wisest thing I can tell you is don't trust anybody. Trust the consortium of opinions, but not any one person um, to get you what you want. Next thing, 7800 XT, good card. Released for that mid-range pricing. Again, not bad. I was a little bit surprised that I would recommend the 7800 XT and by extension the 7700 XT. I think the prices on these after the new year are going to drop significantly, though. I would keep an eye on these. They're decent cards, and this Sapphire, like their coolers are just great. The 7900 XTX, both the pulse and the vapor or the nitro, sorry, uh, they do really well. They're just very good cards. I think Sapphire is kind of one of the premier brands for the Radeon line. So I think they're really good. Wife is texting me like, "Where are you? I miss you." I miss her too. I'm gonna text her back that I'm making a video. All right, cool. So I think keep an eye on these. The 7800 XTs and the 7700 XTs could be good deals. Like I think keeping an eye on these as they go into the new year. I don't think they're necessarily super overpriced as they are today, as the market stands, um, and they're selling well. I would just keep an eye on them. Next up, okay, you guys are going to be like, what? An Nvidia card? Here's the exception to the rule. The RTX 4090, okay, is a goodie because it basically is the top dog. You can't get a faster video card than the 4090. At best, your 4080s and your 7900 XTXs are in some benchmarks in the ballpark. This is a complete different animal than those cards. Um, Here's a caveat. They might burn up their connector. so so you have to take that for what it will. Um, it is great. Like it's awesome that there's something that increased performance, but you have to realize that yeah, this is not the card for the faint of heart, right? It's 2 grand. It's the fastest thing that has ever rendered a video game to this point for the consumer. Uh, and it has a connector that sometimes blows up. That's basically, you know, the short of it. Because, short, because the connector can take nearly 600 watts. So it is what it is. Um, but, or well, it's rated for 600 watts, but you know, um, I'm just showing off the Strix models here, but really the price has gone up and there's less of them. I mean, I don't know what the future of these cards holds, but I can tell you that they are massively expensive. They produce a lot of heat. Again, they burn up connectors once in a while, but they will, if you're looking for the ultimate 4K experience, kind of it. Kind of it. So it had to be on the goodies list because it is the fastest card out there. I'm just not into that anymore. A friend of mine bought one, um, and he's very happy with it. But he, he plugged it in and left it. So as far as I know, like he's working okay. I think the real key is don't use any sort of an adapter. Get a power supply that has the actual cord and 16 pin plug. Like don't use an adapter of any kind. Use the actual cable. Make sure your case is big enough. Make sure you have enough clearance. Just use the power supply included cord on it. Don't get an extension cable, I don't think. Like, don't mess with any of that stuff. Go power supply to card and use that. And that seems to be the deal. Not even the Nvidia connector, the Nvidia adapters. Don't even use that. If you buy this card, buy the appropriate power supply. Like buy an ATX 3.0 slash um, PCIe 5 connector, power supply. Buy a new power supply that supports it. Go straight there. Like, don't mess around with this card. Seriously. And I think that you'll be happy. It'll be reliable. Um, at least from what I understand. Do not get an adapter. And that's my 2 cents on this. But it is the best, hands down. It almost every single scenario you can imagine. The 7900 XTX can rival it if it's overclocked very heavily to this thing's stock performance. That should give you an idea. It can rival it, but it will take more power than this to do that. And then you can still play with this, although you may not gain much. That's the thing about this as well, is overclocking it I don't think really does a lot. But, you have to really go ham on something else to get close to this. So it's really the best card. Let's go into cases. Okay, why is this not? There we go. All right. So anyway, if you need a computer case, there you go. We're done here. This is the best computer case you can get. It is the highest performance, the lowest cost for that performance that you can get your hands on. It has the most features. It's just for the value for money here is immense. Um, I don't know how they do this for $109. It's that kind of case. These 160 millimeter fans in the front are probably pretty damn expensive to produce. And you can get them with RGB for 109. I think this case without the RGB is $100. I think it's $99. You can put a 360 AIO on the top. If you were going to get that 14700K, like I was saying, I mean, this is what you get. Like, you get that CPU, you get a good motherboard, you throw it in this case, right, with a 360 mil AIO, and if this case can't keep it cooled down, no other case will be able to. So I wouldn't worry about it. These fans are just beastly. They push air through the case like crazy. And this case has all the features you could possibly want. So your search ends there if you're simply looking for the best bang for your buck. And that's why I kind of come to this first, because I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, it's Lian Li, and Lian Li recently they are suing Fantex for fan IP patent infringement or something like that, and I'm like, man, that sucks. But I can't deny that this is the best case out there. Like, for performance to the dollar, you just can't beat it. I don't know what else. I don't know what else really to recommend. If that's all you're worried about, is you just want the most airflow you can get for the most compatibility airflow um, that you can get, like this is pretty much it. There's a really good look at those fans. These things are beasts. They really are. I would recommend this case over the more expensive Lane Cool 3, honestly, just because of these fans. Um, anyway, not much else to say. Moving on, if you want a really interesting case, like I would argue this is probably the most interesting and versatile case out there. This is the Montech King 95. Just came out. Uh, has a, I don't know if it'll show it here, but like this front glass panel is actually curved. So it's curved. It'll come off. You can put a mesh front panel on instead of the glass. Very versatile. So I thought that that was really cool. The base one with no fans is $100, I think. And then you can get one pimped out with fans all the way for, yeah, $150. So I thought that was pretty cool. Just, I immediately threw that into my goodies because I'm like, that's definitely something new and awesome. Another goodie, good old Fractal Design North. I like this case. Um, I have one. So that should be a pretty ringing endorsement, I would say. Um, Obviously, it is like basically wood front, so I like the fit and finish. It's very well made and it's cool. And I think that it'll hold a 360 mil AIO in the front. You can put a 240 in the roof, not a thick 240, but just a 240. And it was plenty for my 7800 X3D. And I was like, this is a great match. So I was excited about that. It's an awesome looking case. So if you want one, like basically I kind of think of it as the highest performance is probably the 216. The versatile crazy one is probably the Montech. And then the one I think that probably just looks the best and is the nicest one to have on your desk is probably the North. Oh, there it is there. And then budget, super budget, give me the Montech Air 903. So two Montech mentions in here. That's really good. A couple of honorable mentions. I'm not even gonna bother showing them of interesting cases. The NZXT H6 Flow, kind of interesting. I played around with one of those already and thought it was pretty good. And the Jonsbo D41 D31. That's the ATX and Micro ATX. They're cool cases. They've got like a LCD screen on the front that you can display stuff to, and they're only like $150 to get your hands on that. So that. I thought that was pretty cool. Guys, that's it. So I'll end the video there. And I kind of rushed through that last little bit there, but I was sort of running out of time. I really appreciate everybody, every single person that's watched a video from me this year. I might produce another video before the end of the year, but I'm not sure. This is the Christmas Eve one, so you know, we'll see what happens next weekend. But I hope everybody has a fantastic Christmas. You get all the things that you want, and you really enjoy it. If you'd like to leave a like and subscribe, please do so. That would be awesome. Maybe leave a comment. Tell me how goofy I look. How's about them Texas Rangers winning the championship? And guys, we'll see you in the next one.